So students, today we are going to discuss about the environmental movements. This is a topic of unit number 5. Student, tell me, what is an environmental movements? Environmental movements means the movements that is taken out for the conservation of environment, for the protection of the environment. The movements that have been taken for the sustainable management of natural resources. It can be defined as the social or political movement for the conservation of environment or for the improvement of the state of the environment. Clear, students? What does environmental movements means? Environmental movements is defined as a social or political movement that is for the conservation of environment, for the protection of the environment, or it can be for the improvement of the state of the environment. The term green movement or conservation movement or alternately used to denote the same. What we denote? We denote the environmental movements by green movement or the conservation movement because the basically purpose of this environmental movement is to protect the environment, to have the sustainable management of natural resources. Movement often stress the protection of the environment by changes in the public policy. Many of the movements are centered on ecology, health, and human rights. What is ecology, health, and human rights means? To maintain to maintain an economic environment in a healthy way, to protect the human rights, to have an availability of the things that is a right of every individual. So, environmental movement favors the sustainable management of natural resources. Movement stress on the protection of environment that can be through the changes in public policy, and the many movements are centered on what? They centered on ecology, health, and human rights. Environmental movements range from the highly organized and formally institutionalized ones to the radically informal activities. Clear, students? Environmental movements, they range from the highly organized, means they are highly organized movements. Formally, they are institutes, means the someone that is formally organized these all movements to the radically informal activities also. Mean that doesn't mean that environmental movement is for the political type only. It can be the social movement also. It can be organized, it can be informal. It can be formally belongs to any institute, but it can be the person who randomly can come out for this environmental protection. The movement of environment have a very rich history. It have a very significant movements that have aimed to protect natural resources and the environment. Today in this lecture of environmental movement, we are going to discuss about the three particular movements which have a great impact on the Indian society. The basically purpose of this environmental movement is to protect the environment. And if the person is feeling like, if the individuals are feeling like that the movements are going in the society are in the way can destroy the environment or make an ill effect on the environment, they take certain measures to protect it or to stop that movement, stop that activities. So in that case only, these are the we are going to discuss are three notable examples which help us to know what overall happened in our society. The first movement that we are going to talk about is about the Chipko movements, which started in the early 1970s in the Uttarakhand region, then the part of the Uttar Pradesh. It is one of the most well-known environmental movement in India. What is it? It is a well-known environmental movement. The term Chipko means to hug or to cling. What we say Chipko? To hug, as you hug each other in the same way, students. The term Chipko means to hug or to cling to in Hindi. And the movement is named after the villagers' practice of hugging trees to prevent them from being cutting down. Understanding, students? Why this movement is called as the Chipko movement? Because villagers practice of hugging trees, and hug is known as the Chipko. Why they are hugging the trees? They hug the trees so that they can prevent the trees from cutting it down. Clear, students? This movement started in the year 1970s. It is started in the Uttarakhand region, then in the part of the Uttar Pradesh. It is a well-known environmental movement in India. The term Chipko means to hug or to cling to in Hindi, and the movement is named after the villagers' practice of hugging trees to prevent them from being cut down. The Prevent Chipko movement emerged in response to the rampant deforestation occurring in Himalayan region, because it is getting a severe ecological and social impact on local communities. And this movement started in early 70s, and it is like a non-violent protest, as Gandhiji says. You are understanding, students? As deforestation is going on, and the deforestation that is occurring, getting a severe ecological impact on local communities. Severe ecological and social impact. On whom? On local communities. Ecosystem is getting disturbed. Society is getting disturbed by that deforestation. Animals can came out. Temperature gets increased. Flood can come. There are various drawbacks of this deforestation, and which was creating problem for the villagers living there or the local communities who are living there. So movement began in the early 70s and the Gandhian form of non-violent protest. Where this movement start? Some of the key points that we discussed in this topic. This movement began in April 1973. This started in the village of Mandal. It is in the upper Alaknanda Valley, and soon it started to spread in other parts of the region. The prominent leaders included Sundarlal Bahuguna, Chandi Prasad Bhatt, and Gaura Devi. These are the three leaders who lead this particular movement, and this movement started in the year 1973. The basically aim of this movement is to protect the local forests from deforestation due to commercial logging. Villagers argued that the forests were crucial for their livelihoods, providing them fuel, fodder, and preventing the soil erosion. Clear, students? The basically purpose of this movement is to protect the local forests from deforestation, as this deforestation is doing it done for the commercial logging. Villagers gives the various argument. The basically argument of the villagers are that if the deforestation will be done, it will become very crucial for their survival, for their livelihoods, as forests provide them the fuel, fodder, and forests prevent them from the soil erosion. Now, from where it started, I have told you it started from the villages in Mandal. It was led by the Chandi Prasad Bhatt. They hugged the trees to prevent them from being cut down by a sports good company. The sports good company is going to deforest it. This act of hugging trees symbolizes the villagers' commitment to protecting their environment. What they do, this particular person lead the whole movement. They started hugging the trees so that the sports good company didn't cut it out. And this act of hugging trees symbolizes the villagers' commitment to protecting their environment. In this particular event, the one of the most iconic event movement that occurred, that is in the year 1974 in the village of Reni. And this in the village of Reni, this group is led by the Gaura Devi. It is a group of women to embrace the tree. successfully preventing their filling by the contractor. This event received widespread attention and further galvanized the movement. So this is in the village of Reni. The lady who lead this movement is Gaura Devi. It will lead a group of women to embrace the trees, successfully preventing their filling, and they prevent the trees from by the contractor. And this event received widespread attention, and further this movement get galvanized. The leaders who played a great role in the Chipko movements are Sundarlal Bahuguna. He is a key leader who traveled extensively, spread awareness about this movement, and emphasized the importance of sustainable development and conservation. He is a person who played its important role in spreading the awareness about the movement and creating the awareness among the individuals for the protection of the environment and to have a sustainable development and the conservation of trees. Gaura Devi, she is a local woman leader who played a very crucial role in mobilizing the women so that their forests can be protected. So Gaura Devi is a local woman who played a very crucial role so that women can be mobilized so that forests can be protected. The philosophy of the Chipko movement is deeply rooted in Gandhian principles of non-violence and civil disobedience. It highlighted the interconnectedness of people and nature and advocate for the sustainable use of resources. A very good philosophy the Chipko movement is going through. They highlight that how the people and nature is interconnected. If you destroy the nature, you also get destroyed. How the nature is protecting you, how the nature is providing various resources. I think students, you are very well known after learning about this subject. That's how much nature is contributing towards us. What things, we are nothing without the nature. Nature is giving us fruits, nature is giving us vegetables, this rain, this heat, all are the nature products. We can't able to survive without this natural resources. And for alive, for having a good living and for having a healthy environment, it is very important to have a sustainable use of these resources. Because if we get that scarcity of these resources being be wasted, then nothing will be left for our future generation. And they will have a great problem due to these resources. Now, what achievement people get after this movement? This movement led to a 15-year ban on a green felling in the Himalayan forest by the Indian government in 1980. What the government do? Government led to a 15-year ban. No forest can be done, no deforestation can be done for 15 years on green felling in the Himalayan forest by the Indian government in 1980. What the impact of this particular movement is raised the awareness and the importance of forests and also inspired other environmental movements worldwide. People get aware about the plantation of trees. People get aware about the cutting of trees. People get aware about the importance of trees over in their environment. People get aware about the global warming. So it raised the awareness in the various aspects. It empowered local communities, especially women, to take active roles in environmental conservation. So this movement, the Chipko movement that have been taken, have a great impact on the environmental protection. It also empowered, it also guided the women that they can also protect the environment and they can take active roles in environmental conservation. Gaura Devi is a lady who played a crucial role in mobilizing women to protect their forests. And basically, a very good part of this movement is this is the movement of non-violence. Non-violence, which is on the Gandhian principle. And legislative impact of this movement is led to the 15-year ban on green felling in the Himalayan forests by the Indian government in the year 1980. Clear, students? And this movement started where? This movement started with the 1973 in the villages in the Mandal. And this particular movement is led by Chandi Prasad Bhatt. And what is the role of Sundarlal Bhaguna? He traveled extensively and spread the awareness about the movement. Now we talk about the another movement. Another movement is Silent Valley movement. Silent Valley movement was a campaign to save the Silent Valley, an evergreen tropical forest in the Palak district of Kerala, from being flooded by a hydroelectric project. What is this movement all about? It is a campaign so that the Silent Valley can be saved. As Silent Valley is an evergreen tropical forest, it is in the district of Kerala, so that the flood cannot come here, and it is protected by a hydroelectric project. This movement began in the 1970s when the Kerala State Electricity Board proposed building a hydroelectric dam on the Kuttipuja River, which would have submerged the Silent Valley. Because if a dam is created, the Silent Valley will get merged in it. So here this movement started. The notable figures who started this particular movements are Sugatha Kumari and environmentalists like M.K. Prasad and K. Matthew. And what is the goal of this movement? This movement aims to protect the rich biodiversity of the Silent Valley, which is home to many endangered species, including the loin-tailed macaque. If this if this happened, what will we do? What will be the scenario? Many species will be dislocated or get died, and many species will be destroyed. So the Silent Valley, which is a tropical forest in the district of Kerala, is being protected by this movement. Impact is what? Due to the widespread public support and strong advocacy, the government of India declared Silent Valley a national park in 1995 and thereby save it from destruction. The Silent Valley get protected due to this movement, and it is as been said as the national park. Students, please keep it in mind that in Kerala, the Silent Valley becomes a national park in the 1985, but the Silent Valley can be destroyed. But this is protected by some of the individuals from the hydroelectric dam. See our leaders' contribution. So it is very important, students, to have an environmental protection, because if these leaders didn't come across for protecting an environment, then what will be the figure? What will be the scenario for us? The global warming that we are facing today, maybe we have faced it at a very large scale. The Silent Valley, it is located in the Western Ghat of Kerala. It is a biodiversity hotspot with a unique ecosystem. In the 1970s, the Kerala State Electricity Board proposed a hydroelectric project that threatened to submerge the valley. Initially, the local activists and environmentalists recognizing the ecological significance of Silent Valley and began opposing the project. They recognized that if the Silent Valley gets submerged, the ecological system gets disturbed and Silent Valley have its ecological significance. This movement gained momentum with the involvement of poets, writers, and environmentalists who launched a public awareness campaign and highlight the valley's unique biodiversity. What thus? This movement gained a momentum with the involvement of various poets, writers, and various environmentalists who launched a public awareness campaigns and highlight that this valley have a unique biodiversity. See, that the peoples identified the unique biodiversity which is there in this valley of some Silent Valley. Leadership and philosophy. A prominent poet and actor who played a crucial role in mobilizing public opinion against the project. Sugata Kumari is a prominent poet and activist, and he played a very good crucial role so that the public opinion can be mobilized against the project. He plays an important role so that people can be directed towards this campaign. They can oppose the project. M.K. Prasad and K.M. Vedu, he was an environmentalist who gives the scientific evidence of the valley ecological importance, who proved that this valley have the ecological importance and it should not be merged, and this project should not be done on this silent valley. The basic philosophy of this project is this movement emphasized the need to protect natural habitat and biodiversity for the future generation. If the silent valley will not be there, then it will create a great problem for the future generation. It can create a great problem for us also. So the movement emphasized the need to protect natural habitat and biodiversity for the future generation. And due to this intense public pressure and advocacy, the government of India declared Silent Valley a national park in 1985, ensuring its protection. Movement also lead to increased scientific research and documentation of the Western Ghat biodiversity. See students, this movement create a great impact, giving the importance to the scientific research and the documentation of the Western Ghat. It contributes to shape the environmental policies in India, emphasize the importance of preserving ecologically sensitive areas. Listening students, this movement, about which you all would not know, you didn't want to know. You think that what is the impact of this all? See what is the impact of these movements. Females, males, environmentalists, poets, all can contribute to the environmental protection. If these leaders are not there, they are not seen in this way, then this environment cannot be protected. So students, you all can also take various measures for protecting the environment. Everyone can do everything. Now this is another movement. It is called as the Bishnoi community of Rajasthan. Bishnoi community of Rajasthan renowned for centuries old commitment to environmental conservation and wildlife protection, following the principles laid down by spiritual leader Guru Jambeshwar. This Bishnoi community was founded in the late 15th century by Guru Jambeshwar, and he is also known as the Jambuji, who laid down about 29 principles, many of which focus on the protection of nature and wildlife. From where this movement came? This movement came in the late 15th century by the Guru Jambeshwar. He given around 29 principles, and under these 29 principles, many of which focus on the protection of nature and wildlife. The basic philosophy around this movement is the Vishnoi practice strict conservation ethics, including the prohibition of felling trees and hunting animals. They believe in living harmoniously with nature and have been known to make significant sacrifices to protect the environment. Clear, student, what is the philosophy? That they are in favor of or they are against on cutting trees, on hunting animals. They say we should live with the nature. We should make sacrifices for protecting our environment, because if we not do so, students, then our future generation will not get the sustainable environment. And global warming that we have started facing in today, it will be at the peak, and our future generation will have to face various problems because of this. So Vishnoi practice strict conservation ethics include, and we should also follow it. Notable incident in this: the Khizeri massacre of 730, where 363 Vishnoi led by Amrita Devi sacrificed their lives to protect Khajri trees from being cut down by the king men is a poignant example of their dedication. In 1730, 363 Vishnovi, and who is the leader Amrita Devi. I have seen students in this holidays. I have gone to the Rajasthan, and there I have seen the lot of khajuri trees are there now, and their pupils told me there also that this Amrita Devi he worshipped like a god, and he sacrificed, many of the ladies sacrificed their life to protect khajuri trees. And there is the rule that no one will cut down these khajuri trees. The king man is cutting it down, and that's a great example which is floating there of their dedication. The Vishnoi deep-rooted environmental ethics inspired numerous of conservation efforts in the region and have made them the model of sustainable living. And these movements highlight the deep connection between communities and their natural environments in India, showcasing grassroots activism and the significant impact local action can have on environmental conservation. This Vishnoi's 29 principles based on the nature and wildlife get a deep connection between all the communities and the natural environment of India, which showcase grassroots activism and have a significant impact on local action on environmental conservation. The Vishnoi committee founded by the Guru Jambeshwar, Jamboj in 15th century, and is known for a deep commitment to environmental conservation. This community follows 29 principles, it means 29 in Hindi, many of which focus on protecting nature and wildlife. The most notable event in Vishnoi history, where 360-degree Vishnois led by Amrita Devi sacrificed their life to protect khajuri trees from being cut down by the Maharaja time. The Vishnois have continued to protect wildlife and forests, often provide sanctuary to animals to birds. Guru Jambeshwar is spiritual leader. He laid down the principles of Vishnoi faith and he emphasized to have a living in harmony with nature. He says we should live with nature. We should have a harmony with nature. Various local leaders are there who uphold and promote these principles within the community. The Vishnoi philosophy integrates environmental conservation with spiritual beliefs, teaching that harming nature is equivalent to harming oneself. Means if you are harming the nature, you are harming yourself. Because this is the nature only that is protecting you from the various disasters, of the environment. So you should not make any harm to the nature. Because if you make harm to the nature, it means you are harming yourself. You are harming your future generation. You are getting the resources scarcity. So you should not harm the environment. This community had played a significant role in protecting endangered species such as blackbug and chinkara. Every species have its role in the environment. If you didn't protect the species, you will not get the species and they have their role in the environment. And that, like we have a human body, there were several parts in our human body. As one part get taken out from our body by operating on anything, something disturb in our body, whole body. Likewise, this is environment. Everything that is given by the nature is for the purpose. And if it get lost, if it get destroyed, that purpose will be resolved. And you will not get the benefit of that. Something get disturbed in the environment. And that will have an adverse effect for the human life only. So if you want that human life can be protected, then the species should be protected. The Vishnoi practices have preserved the ecological balance in their region, showcasing the effectiveness of traditional conservation methods. He told that how the traditional conservation methods are effective, how the centuries are effective to protect the life of the species, how the ecological balance can be maintained, how we can preserve it by preserving the forest and the trees, how this ecological balance can be created in the region. It inspired modern environmental and highlighted the importance of community driven conservation efforts. Their dedication inspired. These movements collectively illustrate the powerful role that grassroots activism and traditional knowledge can play in environmental conservation, serving as model for sustainable living and ecological stewardship. Student, as we protect ourselves, as it is very important to protect our life, we have routine checkups, we have various types of checkups to protect our body. In the same way, it is our social responsibility to protect the environment. And it is not a social responsibility of some of the communists or environmentalists. It is the social responsibility of each and every individual who are living in the society to protect the environment. As environmental protection is as much important as it is important to protect your body. Because if you are making harm to the environment, it means you are harming yourself. God has given this nature. God has provided certain balances in nature. God has given nature for the purpose. This nature species, this nature bodies have the certain purpose, have the certain goal, have the certain role in the particular economy, in the particular environmental. If you are creating any type of damage to this particular environment, then you are creating a damage to yourself. From today, as I've told you about this movement, these whole three movements have a great impact on the environmental protection. If these leaders are not there, their regions could not be protected. They inspired others also so that they can protect their environment. And the great thing is that they inspired the women also. It can't be said that women can't able to protect the environment. Many of the women came forward to protect the environment. So students, I think after learning about these all movements, you get the picture about that what these leaders have contributed towards protecting an environment. And you should also take several steps so that the environment can be protected. So we can take the various movements, we can take the various steps. Start planting the trees. Stop cutting out the trees. Don't use plastic. Don't throw the wastage here and there. Try to have a recycling. There are the various measures so you can protect the environment. Yes, government should also take various movements for protecting the environment at the large scale. But we also are responsible for, and we can take the responsibility of protecting the environment. If we get self-aware, if we are aware, we can take the initiative for protecting the environment. The whole system can be improved. So today's topic, I think, is will get very much clear in the minds of all yours. It is about the environmental movements. We discussed about the three movements, that is Chipko movements, Silent Valley movement, Vishnoi movement. Chipko movements, which we have talked about, is in the movement in Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. Silent movement we have talked about is in Kerala, and Vishnoi movement which we have talked about it's in Rajasthan. Several leaders are there who have led this movement. So, thank you very much for today.